Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode. Today, I'm excited to talk to you about sleep apnea and insomnia and how actually functional medicine can get to the root cause of both of these things. But before I get into it, I want to talk about one of my clients who recently just got off Ambien after being off and on it for 20 years. So she emailed me, things are going great, still sleeping without Ambien, so I'm doing well. Thank you. Goal achieved. Now, Amy had been struggling with sleep since high school, and she's now in her 50s. She tried all the natural things, but she resorted to taking Ambien for a really long time. And she was actually sleeping okay with the Ambien, but she didn't want to be on it because she's worried about Alzheimer's, which we know that these drugs can increase your risk of Alzheimer's. So I ran the tests that I run for all of my clients, and she had H. pylori and other bacterial overgrowth. She had leaky gut. She had depleted hormones and heavy metals. So she had quite a bit going on. And I recommended different supplements and remedies to address these. And within 2 months, she was off Ambien and sleeping great. And this is what is possible for you too. All right. So now let's talk about sleep apnea and insomnia because they are two different issues, but some of my clients have both. And they can actually have similar causes, which might be really surprising to you. But the gist of insomnia is any kind of trouble sleeping, right? If you take a long time to fall asleep, if you wake up in the night and have a hard time going back to sleep, if you wake up too early in the morning, pretty much if you have any trouble sleeping and wake up not feeling rested, then you have insomnia. Now, sleep apnea is a sleep disorder when your breathing starts and stops when you're asleep. And the most common symptom of this is loud snoring and also feeling tired, even if you are sleeping well and sleeping all night. And there are two kinds of sleep apnea, and some people have both. So, obstructive sleep apnea is a physical problem when the throat closes while you're asleep. This is the most common kind of apnea, and one of the main risk factors for this is being overweight. Now, central sleep apnea is different. So that's when your brain doesn't send the proper signal to the muscles that control breathing. And so then your breathing stops and you aren't aware of it. Now, I help with insomnia directly. So I use functional lab testing to find the imbalances in my clients' bodies that are literally keeping them awake at night. And the most common causes of insomnia that I see are hormone imbalance, especially low estrogen, low progesterone, high testosterone, high or also low cortisol can cause sleep issues. An unhealthy gut. So if you have a pathogen in your gut, if you don't have enough good bacteria to make neurotransmitters, if you have an inflamed gut wall that isn't able to absorb nutrients, then that can cause sleep issues. An unhealthy liver, food sensitivities, mineral imbalance, heavy metal toxicity, and mold toxicity. So all of these are some common causes of insomnia that I see in my clients. But I also end up helping my clients with sleep apnea as well, kind of indirectly. So everyone's coming to me with sleep troubles, right? With insomnia, not just with sleep apnea, but quite a few of my clients have sleep apnea as well. And so we tend to think of that as a physical problem from being overweight, but there's actually more and more evidence that there are other contributors to this disorder. Now, according to the functional medicine perspective, sleep apnea is generally caused by inflammation. This is actually what causes a lot of diseases and disorders and can affect our sleep as well. Now, the key is to find out where that inflammation is coming from. And with sleep apnea, the usual suspects can be food sensitivities, sinus congestion, and gut infections. So, for example, H. pylori is a bacteria that raises the pH of the stomach, which is going to affect protein digestion and how well you're absorbing nutrients. And this is something that I test for with the GI map in all of my clients. And it's crazy because there are studies correlating H. pylori with sleep apnea. So one study said that H. pylori infection may be associated with obstructive sleep apnea syndrome, and that the more severe that apnea is, the higher prevalence people have of H. pylori. Now, it's estimated that half the population has H. pylori. Many doctors think that it's now become a normal part of our gut flora and that you don't need to treat it unless you have digestive symptoms like abdominal pain, bloating, and burping. However, I think H. pylori is really important to treat because H. pylori is the number one cause of stomach cancer and ulcers. And also, 90% of my clients have H. pylori, so I see it highly correlated with sleep. Now, chronic sinus congestion, this is especially common with mold toxicity or with allergies. This can cause similar disturbance in breathing as sleep apnea. So there's research coming that's showing that these sinus issues can also cause a host of sleep problems, including insomnia, restless sleep, obstructive sleep apnea, and snoring. Now, it's really interesting too how food sensitivities can play a role. So there's an anecdotal story about a man who had chronic congestion and was diagnosed with sleep apnea and slept horribly for 10 years. He finally did a food sensitivity test. He was sensitive to 22 foods, which is quite a bit. It means his gut is not healthy. And within 2 weeks again. So it could just be as simple as the food you're eating. Now, another source or cause of this can be hormone imbalance. So there are studies showing that low progesterone in women and low testosterone in men can also affect breathing at night and contribute to apnea. So as you can see, many of the contributors to insomnia and sleep apnea can be the same. And so we can get to the root of both of these things. Now, so many of my clients have done sleep studies, right? And this is one of the first things people with trouble sleeping do. It's what their doctors recommend. This is honestly mainly meant to diagnose sleep apnea. Yes, they might find restless legs or something like that that's helpful as well. But mainly they're looking for apnea. And then the recommendation is to get on a CPAP. And I have many clients who have gone through sleep studies and everything comes back normal. There's really not any help for general insomnia from these sleep specialists, although they may recommend that you get sleep medication. And I also have clients who are on CPAPs and still wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep. So that means they have insomnia too. And a CPAP can help with apnea, but it doesn't get to the root cause of why you have apnea. So really the only way to do that is through functional lab testing that can show if any of these imbalances that I've talked about are causing your sleep issues. And then we know exactly what to address. And if you're ready to get to the bottom of your sleep issues for good and get over this and get on with your life, then I can help. I'll have the link to book a call with me in the show notes, and I hope to talk to you soon. All right, I'll talk to you next week.